Hey now, everybody. Matt Haywood here from entertainmentboo.com, and I'm joined with Nick Caminita, and we are back bigger, badder, and beefier than ever before to talk all things Star Wars. So I returned from my successful trip out west to E3. Saw some cool geeks out there, but, we're back. It's time to get refocused on Star Wars. Who cares about video games right now? Because all we talk about is the creation of one George Lucas. Even though he tried to fuck it up, he still is the All-Father. So respect George. All right, Nick, so plenty to talk about this week thanks to EW, Entertainment Weekly, EW.com or whatever. They released their Star Wars Rogue One issue, I think today. You could actually get it in stores. But online, I believe starting Monday, then yesterday, or not Monday, Wednesday through today, they've been releasing tidbits about Rogue One. So at first we got some character reveals, got names and dossiers on them, so you could really figure out who Jyn Erso is and supposedly her little band of rebels. We learned about Vader's role yesterday and that James Earl Jones is coming back. And then today, Kathleen Kennedy and Gareth Edwards finally spoke on the Rogue One reshoot rumor debacle that, Nick and I, obviously, we dedicated a cast to it. I wrote posts on it. It was getting my panties in a bunch. But after what I read today, if you believe for what they say, everything's going to be okay. So, Nick, glad you could join me, as always, on this Star Wars-centric Budacast. What is up? You ready to do this?
Yeah, man. We were losing our minds about Rogue One, and I feel like after these, statements came out, like you said, we're all a little calmer now, so I'm feeling good.
Yeah, you know what? Let's just start with the statements, because I think that's where the discussion still revolves around Rogue One. So, if you're not a geek or you just somehow stumbled upon this podcast, you want to figure out what Star Wars is all about, essentially, it was about 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago is when they first started trickling out. They were saying, well, Rogue One's going in for reshoots, and it's 40% of the movie, it needs canned. Disney executives are saying it sucks, they hate it, they need more levity, they need more fun, there's too much death, it's too dark. And Nick and I, the whole basis of our last podcast was we're like, well, they've always said it is a war movie. War movies shouldn't be all light and fun and cheery and full of comedic moments and Jar Jar Binks antics. So what's the big deal? This sucks if this is true. And it went weeks and weeks went by. Still nothing from Edwards, nothing from Lucasfilm, nothing from Kennedy, who's the president of Lucasfilm and producing the film. Until today, obviously, EW gets the exclusive, Nick. So they pretty much came out and said, yeah, all films have reshoots. Duh, we knew that. Gareth's like, some of the logistics of getting all the people back here has been cumbersome, maybe adding to some of the speculations. But he's like, listen, it's all going into pre-existing footage. We're not just scrapping the entire film, or we're not just, snipping it at the 30-minute mark and snipping it again at the 60-minute mark and replacing a whole section. And then I think what Kathleen said, or her quotes were the best, the most reassuring. She's like, no, this is still a Band of Brothers style war film. It's going to be dark. There is a darker tone, yada, yada, yada. So, Nick, who made you happier, Gareth or Kathleen, or just the fact that they finally came out and said something?
Kathleen overall it reassured me more, because obviously the director can't come out and say too much stuff. He's the one in charge of the film.
She's the boss.
Yeah.
She's president and producer. Producers are pretty much the number one on the set.
Yeah, so she's the producer, not to mention she's, the president of Lucasfilm. So she's, if George Lucas is the all-father, she is the all-mother at this point.
She definitely inherited it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, so when she came out and said, look, we're not changing the story, that's what reassured me the most. Because I think that's what we were looking forward to in this film, is a movie that's different and a story that's different than the rest of the Star Wars universe. It's not going to be filled with Force users. It's not going to be about, at least to our knowledge, it's not going to be kind of this all-encompassing thing about the Force and the overall fate of the galaxy. It's more of a close knit band of brothers type story, like you said, with these rebels that are trying to steal the Death Star plans. And this isn't like it's not a lighthearted thing. We're not going to have Jar Jar Binks running around and shocking his face between the, the electric binders of a. So, I mean, this is the movie that we wanted. I think this is a movie that can do well, especially with a more mature audience, because of its, because of the nature of it being a war film. So her words were definitely more reassuring than Gareth's. I mean, Gareth's were definitely nice to hear too, that they're not like scrapping everything, and that most of the reshoots are just being done to like, fit in with the current status of the film and not really replace anything. So overall, it's just, this is what I wanted to hear. I don't know if they wanted to wait until after the reshoots were done, or like, to make a statement. But I'm definitely.
Well, I
glad
think,
it came
it
out.
sounded like EW was at the set or wherever they're doing the reshoots, because in the article today, it literally said Gareth had to go to work to start, doing the reshoot. So they may still be going on. I mean, who knows, dude? Who knows? There was some sort of a geeky forest fire building up behind this thing. There was some movement. Not some. There's huge movements, especially on social media. Idiots like Nick and I, we're not idiots. We love this stuff, and we probably take it a little too seriously. But so what? Everyone's got to have a passion in life. But we kind of add fuel to the fire, and it's going, it's burning, it's getting bigger, and brighter, and nothing. Disney, nothing. Lucasfilm, nothing. So I was kind of like, well, shit. Maybe there is some truth to it, and there probably still is some truth to some of the rumors that were coming out there. I'm sure a Disney executive said, he probably watched the latest movie that made a ton of money, and there was a joke in it, or it was a buddy comedy, and he's like, hey, let's try to capitalize on that. I don't doubt that stuff, but as Nick said, I think Kennedy coming out and say, listen, we're good. Still going to be dark. I don't think it's going to be as dark as it could be if we ever got to see a true disgruntled Darth Vader take on some rebel forces. But hey, it's a Disney World now. It is what it is. Maybe it'll get itself PG-13. It was Force Awakens PG-13, right?
Force Awakens, yeah, PG-13.
Yeah, so, and I think that was the first. I bet Sith was PG-13 too. Who knows?
I think there was like I think it was PG-13, because at the time, I can remember one of the movies, I think it was Sith, and they were like, this is the first PG-13 Star Wars movie.
Right.
Everything else has been PG.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was Sith or TFA, so. But yeah, I'm good with it. So we'll find out. So other things we learned from EW about Rogue One, we'll jump to Darth Vader's role in the film. So I don't know, Nick, were you kind of let down, or did you kind of anticipate that he would be sparingly used, but definitely during a key moment?
I wasn't surprised, because this is kind of how I expected him to be used. I mean, when you have the character like Ben Mendelsohn's character, who was detailed in the EW
name,
piece
like,
as well,
Director Krennic or something?
Yeah, Orson Krennic. So when you have a character like that who's clearly the main villain, it would do a disservice to him to have like just Darth Vader come in and overshadow him. So I like how they said that they're going to use him sparingly, but then there's going to be a moment in the film where he's like, his badassness comes out. It says at a key strategic moment he's going to loom large. So I mean that might be when you get to see the Vader that we all anticipated to see. But yeah, I mean,
what do you feel? Let's talk about that moment. What do you think that moment could be, or what do you want that moment to be?
It's gotta be when they're on the Death Star. Like, clearly they're on the Death Star. They're getting the plans, or they have the plans, and they're getting ready to escape. And then like the way that I would see it in my mind is almost like the scene with Ben and Vader in Episode 4, where like Ben's coming up a hallway and then Vader's just standing there, like, boom, and you're like, fuck, this is it. And that would
so
be.
Do you think it's just going to be him and Jin at the end? Jin's the last surviving one of the boarding party, or the stealth party, recon party, whatever you want to call it. And, just as she's sending that transmission to Leia, you think just Vader shows up and just kicks, fucking wipes her out? Or is he going to have a bigger role in taking out the rebels on the Death Star?
I feel like Vader's appearance could be like the unraveling. So like everything's going well, like they got the plans, they're making their way out, or like they just got away from like a chase with a bunch
Yeah,
of
so like they
stormtroopers, and
bring
then
him
boom.
at the they bring him in like, oh shit, we fucked up, here he comes. Yeah, because I don't think you could make it to where the rebels steal it under his nose.
Yeah, that would be really hard to believe, especially like I don't think that it's possible for them to get onto the Death Star, take the plans, and then get out without there being some kind of alarm raised. So I assume that like they're going to be on the Death Star and they're going to be trying to evade capture or at least find a way to transmit it before they're captured. And then like that would be when he comes in. Like he comes in and really throws a wrench into their whole plan.
Yeah, because it sounds like how he's going to be used. I mean, like Nick said, the big bad is this Krennic character, so Vader's not going to be that. But they did make it sound like the two definitely know of each other and don't like each other, don't have mutual respect. And at this point in time, Vader is still kind of a behind-the-scenes boogeyman, even in the Empire. He still has legendary status in terms of people don't even know if he fucking exists. They just hear about this guy that can show up, kick the shit out of people, fuck stuff up, and then disappear. And that's the myth of Darth Vader. The only person Vader answers to, period, is Palpatine. So obviously these military guys who have that structure and order, none of them are going to be fans of Vader. And they made a point in the article, and I like this because I always questioned in A New Hope Vader's role on the Death Star and with Tarkin. They kind of Tarkin makes it seems like he's above Vader and can command him. But they essentially said, and I think it was in this EW article, I don't know, Nick, if you picked up on it, they essentially said, well, no, that was Vader just like, he'll let guys, sure, you bet, I'll let go, sure, I'll appease you, but it was
Yeah.
nothing like, you're my boss, I have to do what you tell me. He just, he's fucking with a guy, he's like, all right, whatever, it's not even worth it, fuck you.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, if he went around killing everybody who pissed him off, then there wouldn't be much of an Imperial Navy like structure left. Like he would just kill everybody. So, and then at this
That's
point,
pretty much what he does in the comic book run. I don't know if you've read this recent one, dude, but he definitely
so maybe he's got like his head about him a little bit more now.
well, it's like he's always, and I even think this is Rebels may take it this route, but he's always trying to one up the Emperor. I mean, just like a true Sith, he wants to fucking take over, and he knows that the Emperor's constantly trying to get him killed. So that's kind of the contentious relationship they have, and we may get a hint of that in this film. But I mean, Vader's definitely, he is the enforcer. He's a guy that the Emperor sends out to fucking get systems in line, to get the Imperials in line. So I'm like you do. I think he'll have a hand in taking out Jin and the rebels. There's no, it's fitting
If you're
because at
gonna
that point
use him.
yeah, because he's at that he probably instantly gets on his fucking ship and starts trailing fucking Leia. And there we go, bang, we're in A New Hope.
Yeah, I mean that's the best way to use him. I don't know. I really don't think that they're gonna use him as like a military authority figure or anything like that. It would just be a little out of
Oh
place.
yeah, no, he's gonna be an ass kicker. I mean, that's
Yeah.
it. That's what he is.
So, and I mean, that would be the best way to do it. You have him come in when like the audience is feeling good, the rebels are feeling good, like they may get away with this. Like this is it. They have it and they're, right by the blast doors. And then the blast doors open up and he's standing there with his lightsaber like, this you're not getting any further.
Right.
So
Stabs her in the heart and she hits click and it transmits and he's like, no. The patented Vader scream now. The fucking Revenge of the Sith and then the stupid fucking edit in Jedi. God damn it.
They're going to throw it in just to piss everybody off at the end.
Worst. The worst. I mean, if I was James Earl Jones, I'd be like, no, I'm not doing it. And you're not allowed to dub it and some asshole doing it for me.
Yeah, I think that the fact that James Earl Jones came back for this movie is like
crazy. I mean,
actually,
dude, he's 85 or some shit, right?
Yeah, I'm so surprised. He's an old man, but he's got the voice still. Like that's all you need is you only need the voice. But there are so many people out there who can imitate that voice now, and for them to be able, for them to ask him and him to say yes, like that's really cool, and it just shows you that he still kind of has a love for that character.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. Well, I mean, I'm sure he's making a pretty penny to just drive to a studio one day and talk some lines into the deal. So.
Yeah, seriously, if it's a full day's work, I'd be surprised.
Yeah, because the guy actually playing Vader is the blue prison guard from Guardians of the Galaxy with the headset, right? That stole Star-Lord's headset. I think that's him.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, obviously some random, probably stunt character player, but it's definitely not Hayden Christensen. Although I heard he popped up 2 weeks ago saying, "Oh yeah, I mean, if they ever asked me back, I would do it." Yeah, no shit, because you haven't done anything since.
Yeah,
I feel bad for that guy, honestly.
I really do. And I
He
mean,
wasn't.
like,
I mean, if you see him in some other shit, he's not like a horrible actor. It's just the shit he was given in
the prequels.
the prequels, and he was directed that way. I mean, obviously, if the director liked the performance, they cut it and fucking edited it together. I mean, George could have said, "Dude, you fucking blow. Do it this way." Obviously, that's how George wanted him to act.
Yeah, I really feel like George either just didn't give direction or like he just gave the worst direction possible.
Well, I mean, he's I guess notorious for that, where he's not really great at an actor director. I mean, he has the vision and shit, but as far as relating to the actor and getting them into the scene, not so much.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was a few podcasts ago we had talked about possibly putting Hayden into the suit, and like I still would have been all behind giving Hayden the opportunity to be in the suit and have James be the voice, like. But
yeah, I've turned around on Hayden. I mean, I don't know if I ever just blamed him, but it's hard for us super fans. You do kind of associate the character to the real person. I know that's kind of psychotic and a breaching reality type of shit, but hey, that's what fanatic.
yeah.
That's saying. So I don't know. I mean, I see his fucking face and the fucking stupid braid or the long fucking hair and the Obi-Wan help me back and okay,
Yeah,
let's stop. All right, back to Rogue One, back to happy thoughts, back to speculating on what could be and not getting depressed over what has been done before. Okay. So one thing I wanted to go, Nick, and I think it was from today. I don't know if you caught this, but it was Kathleen kind of saying their vision for these standalone films and how they may try to almost break completely from the Star Wars formula in terms of, obviously we already know that John Williams isn't the director, which I think is still sacrilegious with a capital S.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have the formula that we're all used to with the episodic Star Wars movies, and we're up to 7 now, 8's coming out next year. But I mean, with these standalones, you really have to craft them around the personality of the character that you're focusing on, I think. And that may require a break from the formula or a break from the normal Star Wars kind of feel. And I think that's safe. To me, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And it shows that they have flexibility and they're willing to not just stick to the normal formula to make a good movie. Like, because I feel like if this movie, if Rogue One were to try to imitate just like another Star Wars movie or a previous Star Wars movie in some way, then it might not have the same effect that it's going to have now. Like, it's not going to have that feel of a war movie, and it's not going to have the same kind of, dark tones. So, I mean, it's really like, if you go into, like, for the Han Solo movie, if you go into the Han Solo movie saying like, okay, this is the Han Solo movie, but this is a Star Wars movie too, so we're going to make it a Star Wars movie first and a Han Solo movie second.
So I get excited when I hear Star Wars sometimes.
So yeah, like if you were to just like throw in random Star Wars shit or like try to force it to be Star Wars without giving reference to the character, then it might not work as well than if you just kind of like said, this is Han Solo, so we make this the quintessential Han Solo story.
Here's his vest and boots and blaster. I thought the one interesting thing she said they've been toying with is if they do an opening crawl or not. Like that's the type of stuff she's talking about, just almost rebranding these standalones from that aspect. I mean, the opening crawl is fucking life. It's Star Wars. It's what kicks off all the shit. I mean, they use it in the Clone Wars cartoons. I think they use it in the Rebels cartoons. I mean, that's as Star Wars as John Williams. But I mean, that's the type of stuff they're talking about shifting away from. So as Nick was explaining, we're always going to have this very safe, familial feeling Skywalker franchise of films. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
those are going to be the numerals, the trilogy, so on and so forth. And then maybe they're going to have a different looking set, or maybe every standalone all has a unique palette, a unique presentation on their own. Who knows? But they are. It does sound like they do want to establish two brands. We're gonna have the Star Wars stories, which Rogue One is gonna be the first, and then Han is after that, and rumored what Boba Fett ones and Obi-Wan ones, so on and so forth. So I think it's fine. I mean, obviously, as a homer, I always want to hear what John Williams' spin is on a new Star Wars soundtrack, but we'll get to hear him in Episode 8, and if he
Episode
lives,
9.
Episode 9,
Yeah.
so that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I also think that they're not going to deviate too far from the form when it comes to the music. Because the music
you
is...
have to pay homage to the themes at least. I mean, there's got to be some theme respect in there. They can't just fucking just, all right, reboot. We're creating a whole new theme for Star Wars, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they can't just scrap everything.
I think you're still going to get like the, well, now it's
Do-do-do.
the Disney Lucasfilm, and then you'll get the da 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 da, and then Star Wars comes in. I think you'll still get that, but you won't get the crawl, which is okay to me because like
Okay, so you're thinking we're still gonna get the logo, the
Yeah.
fucking Star Wars, bang, and then that's it. Just a fade or wipes to the opening.
yeah, something like that, because I can understand there not being a crawl in there because the crawl's specific purpose was to like fill in the gaps of like, okay, so even though we're doing episodic films, there was still shit that happened between these. So like, here's what happened between episode 4 and 5. Here's what happened between episode 6 and 7. So like, it was there to keep form to the story that was already in place. But with these one-offs, like, you don't really need that. Like, you can do without it, and you can
Right.
just kind of introduce the people to the story organically. So I'd be interested to see if they do something different, like if in place of the crawl, if they do something else, because like they did something similar to the crawl in the Clone Wars stories. It wasn't a crawl; it was just like a voiceover, like the dude talking over.
Yeah. He's got that really
Yeah.
over pronounced. I still need to catch up on those. Every time I see them on Netflix, I'm like, I'll fire them up. Then I go, no, I want to own them. I mean, it's a weird kind of psychology going on there.
Yeah,
Like, I
think
have
if
them for
they
fucking
ever...
free in HD. I could stream them, but I feel like I have to fucking overpay $30 to Apple to own them for life in HD, downloadable, digital, bam, done.
Yeah. See, I feel like if it ever goes off of Netflix, then I'll buy it. Like that's my thinking.
Okay, but yeah, but by then you'll probably never be able to find them. But they are digital as long as they stay on the store.
Yeah.
Okay, so one of the other big reveals from Rogue One this week, Nick, we got some character names at least, and about a paragraph or two on their background, what type of person they are. So we'll kind of go through some of these. Jin, I think we already knew about. I mean, we kind of guessed when we went through the trailer and picked it apart and analyzed it. We're like, hey, she seems like she wasn't really friends with the rebels, and they kind of captured her and potentially are dangling a carrot over her head, like, hey. And that's more or less what her write-up was. I mean, she's kind of a badass or survivor, delinquent since she's a little kid. It looks like the rebels lock her up, or she's been locked up, and they're like, hey, we're going to give you a chance to fucking redeem yourself. Let's do it.
Yeah, this is pretty much in line with what we thought. I mean, it was...
Yeah, I think we nailed her, actually, so we should
Yeah.
obviously keep talking about how awesome we are. Very job well done, Nick. Job well done. Very astute observations on your part.
Yeah, Matt, I mean, we really nailed this one. It's almost like we wrote it.
We're fucking Star Wars gods, people. Okay, yes. All right.
If we
Let's
go
come
on to
back
the
down. Let's
next
come
guy.
back down a few notches. Yeah.
Yeah.
So him we didn't know shit, right? We had no name. I thought he looked like fucking
He looks like Poe.
Poe's
Yeah.
dad, but he's not. He's Captain Cassian Andor.
And he's basically like a by-the-book rebel commander.
He's gonna
Rebel
be
intelligence
Jin's
officer.
babysitter. He's gonna be the one that's kind of corralling her and looking out for her, make sure she doesn't do anything fucking stupid.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're gonna have a character like Jin, who's basically like, you're giving her this opportunity so you don't throw her in jail or whatever. This is like her ticket out of whatever trouble she's in. Then you have to have a character like this that keeps her in line, because if you just let her go and do whatever, it's gonna go nuts, or she's just gonna run away. So yeah, he's the babysitter. He's the one that makes sure that shit happens the way it's supposed to happen.
Now, do you think they'll have a father-daughter relationship, or will it more be the traditional kind of action movie guy-girl, somewhat love story type of deal?
Well, now that we know that like her father's in the movie one and that he's been out of her life for a very long time, he could play that kind of structural father type role in this situation because I can foresee moments in this movie where she does need that. Like say if, obviously if they're going to play this like Band of Brothers or something like that like we've been saying, then somebody's going to die and like she's going to need to have somebody there that can console her or he, maybe he dies and then she needs to turn to her comrades to be like, look, we need to pull together, and that might be her moment of like maturity or like her moment of
yeah, totally. Yeah, I could see him going. He'll definitely die before Jin.
yeah.
We're almost gonna have to do like a Death Watch or a Deadpool for the Rogue One people because they're all dying. All right, let's move on to the next guy they introduced, Donnie Yen's character, and I fucking love the name Chi-Rut. So is it Chi-Rut Imwe or Imwe? Who knows how they'll do the last name? But this is Donnie Yen's character. He's blind. He is not a Jedi. But he does kind of believe in their beliefs. I don't know if that means he believes in the Force or if he just believes in doing the right thing. We always knew the Jedi, they're the light side users, do everything right, protect the weak type of shit. So that's the type of guy he is. But he does understand that the Jedi, or he's under the belief, just like most of the galaxy, that the Jedi are gone. No one's left to protect him from the Empire. So people like him and his buddy we'll talk about next, Baze, they need to fucking stand up and do something for themselves.
Yeah, I really like the direction, or at least like what we can see from Chirrut's character, because like he's almost that idealist that's like, okay, well the Jedi aren't here anymore, so people need to step up, and I'm gonna be the one to step up and make sure that this galaxy, or at least the part of the galaxy that he can influence, is still going in the right direction. It's a hardcore idealist like perspective, and the
straight up warrior monk. I think he could be a pretty cool character.
Yeah, I mean, especially from the trailer that we saw, I mean, like him basically just taking out these stormtroopers by himself with a stick.
Yeah, like a fucking kendo stick or whatever that shit is.
Yeah, he looks like a badass motherfucker. So
I like that they showed his face and his eyes are kind of that milky color to indicate blindness. So looking forward to him, and honestly, I think that the pairing of this next guy, Baze Malbus, sound good to you?
Mm-hmm.
Baze is essentially Chirrut's protector. I mean, he's to me, he's almost going to potentially be the Han Solo guy, kind of like, yeah, you and your fucking warrior monk bullshit. I'd rather just have some fucking heavy munitions by my side at any type, but you're my boy, I'm going to protect you type of deal. Is that kind of what you got, Nick?
Yeah, that's exactly what I got.
I mean, they did say in the article Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. So I mean, that works too.
That's the perfect comparison, and I love how like if you just look at those two next to each other, the way they're dressed and like their overall look, it's just so different. But it's I mean, they could be cool.
They could be a cool duo.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the direction for this character. Yeah, I mean, it's similar to Han Solo, but like I feel like he's gonna be more. He's not gonna be as brash and as in your face as Han Solo. He'll probably be more understanding towards like Chirrut's mindset and stuff like that, and he'll be like, look, like he might like say something off to the side when he's not there. He's like, look, I know this shit sounds crazy, but like, he's well-intentioned and he's a good guy, and I'm gonna
it's kind of like Han. He wrote it off right from the start and then eventually learned to respect it, and obviously deeply respected by The Force Awakens, where I'm kind of reading the article again. It's basically Baze is like, dude, your shit's bullshit, but you're my friend, you deeply believe in it, so whatever, I'll go along with whatever.
Yeah, I feel like, man, there's just like the character duos just between the four that we went through right now, like there's potential for some like really good like emotional moments with this setup.
If he can hit him, I mean, Gareth's style is very
Visual.
yeah, he's a Snyder guy, so who knows? I mean, I'm not saying he's like from Snyder's directing tree, but he's kind of known for his cinematography more than his ability to tell a story.
Yeah.
And Kennedy even brought that up. She's like, when you see Rogue One, it's not going to look like any other, or the Skywalker trilogies. It's going to be a lot more hand camera, shaky, fucking Saving Private Ryan type of shit. That's what I'm expecting on this beach battle, at least.
Yeah.
Okay, next up, Bodhi Rook, who is going to be basically the pimp lead pilot of the rebellion. Obviously, this dude has to die, or he would have been leading the charge in A New Hope on the Death Star, right? I mean,
yeah, that would make sense, especially if like he's the one that's flying the mission to get
right.
them
I
there.
mean, he is touted as at that time the Rebel Squad's lead pilot. As far I don't know if that's like Jin's Rebel Squad or the Rebels on Yavin 4. I'm taking it as he's one of the best pilots in the rebellion, regardless.
Yeah, he seems like he's a more cocky version of Poe from TFA. Because it says he's hot-headed, but his abrasiveness is overshadowed by his skill in the air. So, like...
It's probably like fucking Luke Skywalker a little bit then, fucking shooting womp rats back home in his T-16 Skyhopper.
Yeah, so, like, when they bring up the idea to, like, fly them into the Death Star or whatever the plan is, he'll probably be like, that's it? All right, dude, yeah, no problem. Something.
Yes, he's dead, too. Then we have the droid, K2S0 or SO. This is Alan Tudyk's character, so... they're kind of saying K2 is going to be like Chewbacca, but a droid. No, I think that's cool. I'll check that out. I can support that.
Yeah, and it would be cool because like I assume that he can speak because I don't think we've seen a droid that can't. Well, unless he speaks like R2 or BB-8.
No, it sounds like he talks. Like
yeah.
He's gonna. Yeah.
So I think it would be really cool, or it's going to be really cool to have that Chewbacca-like personality where we can actually understand what he's saying.
Yeah, no, I'm all about it.
All right, and then the fact that he's he was a decommissioned Imperial droid. At least that's what I've heard. They didn't confirm or deny that.
Yeah, she didn't really.
But if that comes to be, then like if he is like a decommissioned Imperial droid, he still has like knowledge of that. It's going to be an interesting dynamic even with his character to see like, does he like disavow the Empire or did they just like mind wipe him and then like he's just their droid now?
Yeah, so I always liked the droids. BB-8 was a fucking hit, smash hit. So and really to me, C-3PO and R2, they're the ones that told the original trilogy. And we always saw the journey of the Skywalkers through the eyes of the droids.
Yeah.
Essentially. So, all right, Galen. We knew he was going to be Jin's dad. We didn't know his name, so we got that at least, Galen Erso. And it sounds like a very interesting dude. It sounds like he's going to play a bigger role as I'm not saying maybe screen time, but as far as the overall plot of Rogue One. So essentially this dude he's basically figured out, it sounds like, galactic nuclear war, where he has doomsday knowledge of the galaxy that both the Empire and Rebellion are searching for. This is kind of what I'm thinking, Nick. Do you think he maybe holds the secret that it enables the Death Star to be able to smoke a planet?
Dude, actually, I didn't even think of that, but that's a really good idea.
And they actually get it, and that's when the rebels are like, all right, fuck it, we got to figure out how to take this thing out now that they have Galen Erso's formula.
Yeah, because like I always assumed that they built the Death Star, especially with like they already had the focusing ray built, so like I assumed that like you're not going to build something like that if you don't know if you can use it, because it would be pretty dumb. For lack of a better word.
Right.
But I like my initial thought was similar to like the galactic nuclear war thing, where like he may have even unknowingly discovered or created something that can be used in a very destructive manner.
Even more so than the Death Star.
Yeah, and they're like, holy shit, we think we have something here.
Right. Yeah,
but this dude like if we can get this dude, then shit is over.
Yeah. So I think it could be either one of those scenarios. So I'm gonna go with mine because I don't feel like I really am one with the Force and am tapped into Gareth Edwards or whoever the writer is head right now.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely be that. And that would be really cool if that was it. Like he had like a specific thing, like he had like the focusing lens that they needed to make the ray
Yeah.
shoot the right way or something
Right,
like
like
that.
his understanding of the knowledge and how to bend light or something, he can literally disintegrate planets in one shot.
Yeah,
So
that'd
what
be
I'm
cool.
going for, you heard it here on the Budacast from me. Take it to the bank. All right, next one, director Orson Krennic. So this is the big bad played by Ben Mendelsohn. And we kind of already touched on him, so I don't know if there's much more to say. But essentially, he's in charge of these Death Troopers. He's going to be the main guy. I don't know if that means if he's the one that's running the Death Star at this point in time, or if he's the one being dispatched to go take care of these cumbersome rebels. But him and Vader don't like each other. I'm hoping to get some sort of exchange between the two. Something kind of like Vader's Round Table in New Hope, where he ends up choking the guy out. That's classic Vader to me. But what do you think, Nick? Do you like the guy now that you know a little bit more about him, or is there still too much mystery?
I definitely like that there's a contentious relationship between him and Vader because I think that if they play with that, then it could be really cool. Like if they allow interactions between those two characters, then it could be really awesome, and it would show you that like we said earlier, like Vader doesn't give a fuck about
No,
Imperial military
because he
order.
knows he could literally crush them in the snap of his fingers.
Yeah. So, in terms of his role, I don't think that he's going to be in charge of the Death Star. I think he is more of like a security guy. Like he may be like head of Imperial security, or he may be like tasked with like, hey, they got this shit. They have the plans. And if we don't get it back, it's your ass.
Yeah, so he's gonna be like, what's his fucking Himmler or whoever, the head of the SS for Hitler. You know, that kind of that offshoot radical group of death trooper deals. Oh, dude, sorry, total tangent here. But the one image of the death trooper holding the stormtrooper doll, and they actually said that doll is gonna play a role. What do you think about that? Did you see that?
Do I have?
It was
Okay, wait.
yesterday when they posted a few new.
I see it now. Yeah,
pics.
I'm looking at it. Yeah.
And the caption are literally saying, no, yes, that is a stormtrooper doll, and yes, you'll learn more about it. If you look at it, looks just like Rey's Rebel pilot doll from The Force Awakens. Same style.
Yeah.
Kind of like a ragdoll action figure.
Okay, so like, you know, it would be cool. It's like, obviously, like the Imperial propaganda machine is in full swing at this moment. Like, so they're out there, and like, there are planets that know that they're full of shit and that they're evil, but like, there are also planets out there where like they think that the Empire is good for the galaxy.
Yeah,
so
they
like,
saved them from the Separatists.
yeah, so they're selling their they're selling their propaganda dolls and their memorabilia and shit like that. They probably like raised the stormtroopers up to this iconic level. Like, look, you know, the stormtroopers, the guys who took down the Jedi Order. So that, yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see what kind of role it can play, but it does bring in a very cool dynamic, a very cool wartime dynamic, especially because, like, you know, you do have this war going on, this kind of guerrilla style warfare with the rebels. So now it's not only like, look what we did for you in the past, but look what we're doing for you now. We're protecting you from the evil rebels and stuff like that. So that's actually really cool. I'm curious to see what kind of
I'm sorry, I just thought about that, pulled that one out of my ass. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it, because I'm telling you, they made specific mention like this will play a role in it, and it does look like Rey's little rebel guy, but I'm sure it has nothing to do with it. So the last character that they revealed, and they kind of teased this one for a bit. This is Forrest Whitaker's character. It's Saul Guerrera, like Eddie Guerrero or something like that. Who knows how they'll actually say it? Saul Guerrero sounds good. But if you did watch the Clone Wars, he made an appearance in, I think it was like a 2 or 3 episode arc, wasn't it, Nick? Have you made it? No, you haven't made it there.
I haven't. He's in season 5.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure it's part.
Right.
You know how they do those mini arcs. You know, Clone Wars, you go one episode, they're doing one thing, the next it's completely different, or you get little arcs where it's a 3-part or whatever. I believe that's where he appeared. Essentially, he meets up with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Ahsoka. They're on one of these planets that the Separatists are fucking up, and he essentially learns that war sucks and the sacrifice one has to make. during war. So it's interesting they're bringing him back. I mean, it kind of makes sense considering he was introduced during a different wartime, and now we're going to see him in a war movie. So I
Yeah.
guess it kind of fits. I don't know. Maybe Forrest just wanted to be in a Star Wars movie. And they're like, how can we get him in here? Bang, let's do this. I don't know. I mean, there's still a bit of mystery definitely surrounding Saul.
I feel like this is gonna be the character that Jin can sympathize with, and like this is. But we also said this like after the first trailer, like if this guy is kind of like another rebellion, like he's not really a rebellion, figure. Like he's not a general or anything like that. If he's just another kind of fighter, like a resistance fighter, then she is going to be able to look up to him. And that'll be so like you'll have Cassian, Captain Cassian Andor there as like her father type figure, but then like she'll be able to look to Saw as like a person who's been in her shoes before. So, and I really do think it's cool that they're bringing this guy in from the cartoon series. Like, I know on a bunch of podcasts before you were saying like, what if they bring this character in from the cartoon? And I always kind of shot it down because I thought they wouldn't do it. But clearly, like they're reaching into that treasure trove of characters and bringing them into the live action films. I think it's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, so I don't know. I do like how they're trying to bridge these different franchises together. I'm all about it. I mean, like I could watch Star Wars shit until the day I die. There's no doubt about it. I'll never outgrow this stuff. So before we wrap this cast up, Nick, kind of touch on, let's get out of the Rogue One. We'll take our Rogue One hats off and we'll put on our Star Wars 8 speculation hats. And we have a little thing we came across this week, and I'm sure if you're as big as fans of Star Wars as we are, you probably read it too. Hopefully you're smarter than us, and you actually, when you see spoiler alert, you don't fucking keep going. Because I shit you not, if some of this stuff comes true, I'm going to throw up in my mouth watching it. Or I'm going to be like, the way they did it was really cool. I wish I didn't fuck it up for myself by reading it way back in, June. So if you don't want to listen in on this segment, that's fine. Go fuck yourself. No, I'm just kidding. We love you. May the force be with you always. You know how we roll. But there's your warning. Spoiler alert. We're going to talk about something very spoilery for episode 8 now. All right, Nick. So we get this article out there. Another supposed leak of something that whoever leaked it, they profess they know everything. They essentially work on the set. It's true, yada, yada, yada. But it's another treatment of a scene involving Rey and her journey with potential Luke, and they're throwing Yoda's name into this shit. So I guess let's get into it. I don't want to spend too much time on it because, again, I don't want it to be real. I don't want to speak it into existence. I don't really want to even pretend that I already read it all. So here we go, people. So here's the scene. Essentially, Rey, we know, we don't know. We're all guessing that Rey's going to be getting trained for a good part of this film, at least early on, whatever. I mean, it's going to be, this film's going to be Empire Strikes Back. Just get used to it. And the last one will probably be kind of like Return of the Jedi, Sans, Ewoks, Gungans, whatever stupid fucking alien race George could have cooked up. So anyways, they're out there training. Yoda comes in with a force vision or whatever, and they talk about, or Luke's telling her about how the council was arrogant and that they had this secret. And supposedly the secret is that the force was this tree, or this tree could yeah, this tree was like this force entity that could elicit force powers out of those around it. So there's this boy and a girl again. And Nick and I were talking before we went live that we've seen this motif in the Clone Wars. So it very well could be some sort of truth to this shit, because there is the father of the force, the son and the daughter, and how they're in constant unbalance and this, that, and the other thing. But whatever. So anyways, this tree, when the boy's around it, he gets angry. Obviously, he represents the dark side. He touches it. He gets greedy. He supposedly kills his sister, kills his family, runs away. We find out that the girl's actually alive, and she becomes the first Jedi. All right, so she is the embodiment of the light side of the Force. And this essentially then ties back into the whole Chosen One theory that we were introduced to in The Phantom Menace. So remember, the Jedi thought, and they've been looking for the one, and they finally found him. And they There we go, the Matrix. Nick and I have been saying that for the past 6 months. All these theories about 8 and Rey and this, that, and the other thing. But, Anakin Skywalker is supposed to be a chosen one, but they were deceived by Palpatine, who... I can see that. I mean, you think about Palpatine was probably like, sure, let him think Anakin's a chosen one. I know he's not. He's going to fucking be a dark side user with me because he's stupid. And then, whatever, we get to see Rey's parents. We find out Luke's not her father. And blah, blah, blah. They're essentially saying Rey is...
Force Jesus.
Yeah, Rey's the one.
I hate
Rey's the Matrix, the one. She's Rey Neo, just like Nick and I have said for the other theories on Rey's birth and all this reincarnation shit. And... I don't know, the more they're coming out, the more it's like, do you know what? There could be a fucking hint of truth to this shit.
I feel like there could be, but I also feel like this is just poorly written fan fiction. Because, I can understand how, the Jedi were deceived that Anakin was the one. And so, in my mind, this is how it will work. We all assumed that, Anakin was brought to life, or, he wasn't birthed by, the Force. He was possibly birthed by, Darth Plagueis manipulating the Force to create him. So if that was the case, then he would be a false prophet, I guess you could say. And then in this crackpot theory, Rey would be the real one and not Anakin reborn, as the original bullshit theory said. So she would be the real reincarnated woman who didn't touch the tree, who created the Jedi Order. So she's the real one. But here's where this all just goes to shit for me is to me, it's like you're rewriting the Bible then in Star Wars. And I understand that there are religious parallels within Star Wars, but I just think it's terrible. She touches, the kid touches a tree and then he's bad. It's just the apple in the Garden of Eden. They eat the apple and then all of a sudden shit goes crazy. It's just nuts. And then the way if you read this article and you look at the supposed page that was leaked, it does not look like a script page. This looks like a Microsoft Word document that some nerd typed up in his basement and then put it on the internet and said this is the script page from episode 8. It's not in script format. It has nobody's name on it. And it does, there is nothing in here that would, if they didn't say that this was a script page and you just looked at it, you'd just be well, somebody just typed this. It just doesn't make any sense. But, since it was put out there as a leaked script page, now people are, putting credence into this as, oh my God, this came from episode 8. This is the real deal. But, just because this new thing lines up with a previous theory that was put out there, it doesn't mean that it's any more true or false than it was before. All it means to me is that people keep running with this idea.
They're buying into it, man. I mean, they're buying into it. They're gonna will this shit to existence. I'm reading the comments on this now, and something goes, "Oh, it's spoiler. Snoke is the evil brother," and it totally could work. Based on this fucking theory they put up.
Oh my God!
It could. It totally could work because all we know he's been along a long time. He's seen a lot of shit. He knows about the Clone Wars. So, anyways, that we're just gonna leave it at that, Nick. I don't want to get into it because now I'm convincing myself that this shit's real. And like I said, if it does turn out to be real and it's done right, I'll accept it. But I'll hate myself for fucking spoiling it because watching The Force Awakens, spoiler free, as big a fan as I was amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, when I was dying to figure out what fucking Kylo's solo name was, and when Han yelled it out, I was like, "Fuck yeah!" I love those types of moments, and I hate that I could potentially be ruining it. So hopefully this isn't true.
Yeah,
but it picks up steam more and more. The Chosen.
I'm gonna be upset if this is real. Not because I don't like it. I mean, obviously I don't like it, but I would be upset because, like you said, it's now I know. I know a year and a half ahead of time what was happening here.
Right. That'd be the biggest bummer to me. So let's go ahead and put this episode to bed, my friend. It was a good talk about Rogue One. I don't know about you. I feel much better about it. Who knows? It could be a PR smokescreen that EAEW colluded with Disney and Kathleen Kennedy this week to kind of get us away from the scent, and they are refilming 60% of the movie. It's going to be completely different, and they're going to bring in Care Bears and Ewoks, and there's going to be sing-alongs with Barney. Who knows? I'm hoping for the best. I think it sounds like you have a much more positive spin on it now too. So let's hope for it. Come December, we're going to be sitting here talking to you all on another Buddhacast about another fantastic non-George Lucas helmed Star Wars movie.
Fingers crossed.
All right, buddy. Okay, my friends, as always, may the Force be with you. Always.